Hello. AI technology have been developed in such a way that you could actually have a quite meaningful conversation with them. And I was having a conversation with this AI called Chatgpt, and it came up with this fan fiction involving Mr. Bean meeting an alien. And the story is quite interesting. It's a bit silly, but it's mildly interesting. And so I'm gonna read it to you. It goes something like this. So Mr. Bean is sleeping when a bright light wakes him up, and Mr. Bean, sitting up and rubbing his eyes, say, "What light from yonder window breaks?" Then a spaceship lands outside Mr. Bean's window, and an alien, emerging from the spaceship, speaking in the style of Shakespeare. "Hail, Earthling!" And Mr. Bean said, "Oh, an alien!" And the alien said, "Come, come, there's so much to see and do." And Mr. Bean follows the alien into the spaceship. And Mr. Bean said, "This is it, the adventure I've been waiting for." And the spaceship takes off. Mr. Bean and the alien are flying through space in the spaceship. And the alien said, "Tell me, Earthling, what brings you on this journey?" And Mr. Bean said, "I've always been curious about what lies beyond my home. And when I saw your spaceship, I just knew it was time for me to go on an adventure." And the alien said, "Ah, wanderlust. It's a common affliction among your kind. But fear not, for you are in a good company." And the spaceship approaches a distant planet. And the alien said, "Ah, here we are, our first stop." And Mr. Bean said, "This is amazing. Oh, I can't wait to see what we'll find in this planet." But suddenly, a loud noise fills the spaceship as Darth Vader's vessel docks with theirs. Darth Vader entered the room and said, "I have been expecting you, alien." And the alien said, "And who might you be?" And Darth Vader said, "I am Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith." And Mr. Bean said, "Oh dear, this doesn't look good." And Darth Vader said, "You would do well to mind your own business, Earthling." Darth Vader stands in the spaceship, facing the alien and Mr. Bean, and Darth Vader said, "You are trespassing on Imperial space. Explain yourselves." And the alien said, "We mean no harm, your highness. We are merely travelers, seeking new worlds to explore." And Darth Vader said, "I see. And what is your purpose in this planet?" And the alien said, "We had hoped to make contact with local inhabitants and learn about their customs and culture." And Darth Vader said, "I'm afraid that will not be possible. The planet you are on is under Imperial control, and any interaction with the native species is strictly prohibited." And Mr. Bean said, "Oh dear, this is terrible. Can't we just go home?" And Darth Vader said, Silence, Earthling. Your fate is not up to me. And Darth Vader turns to the alien and he said, you and your companion will be taken into custody for questioning. And then Darth Vader signals to a group of stormtroopers to come and apprehend the alien and Mr. Bean. The alien and Mr. Bean are being held in a cell by the Imperials. And the alien said, I'm sorry, Earthling. It seems we have landed ourselves in quite a predicament. And Mr. Bean said, it's not your fault. I was the one who wanted to go in this adventure. I just never expected it to turn out like this. And then the alien said, it's not too late to turn back. If we can find a way to escape, we can return to your planet and forget this ever happened. And Mr. Bean said, I don't know. I don't know. Part of me is still curious about this place and the people who live there. I just wish we could have met them on better terms. And the alien said, it's not too late to make amends. We just need to find a way out of here and try to make things right. And then there is a loud noise as the cell door is unlocked. And Darth Vader entered the cell and said, you'll come with me. The Emperor wishes to see you. The alien and Mr. Bean are escorted out of the cell by Darth Vader and a group of stormtroopers. The alien and Mr. Bean are brought before the Emperor. The Emperor said to the alien and Mr. Bean, how does the Emperor? Welcome, welcome, travelers. I've been told you are seeking knowledge of our world. And the alien said, yes, your majesty, we meant no harm. We were simply curious about your culture and customs. And the emperor said, I see. And what have you learned so far? And the alien said, well, unfortunately, not much. We were apprehended before we had a chance to interact with any of your people. And the emperor said to the alien, I understand. And what do you hope to gain from this knowledge? And the alien said, we hope to learn and understand more about the universe we inhabit, to make connections with other beings and cultures. And then the emperor said, a noble pursuit, and one that is not without risk. And then the emperor turns into Mr. Bean, and he said, and what about you, Earthling? What do you hope to gain from this journey? Mr. Bean said, oh, I just want to have an adventure, to see and do things I've never done before. And the emperor said, an admirable goal, but one that must be pursued with caution. And then the emperor is deep in thoughts, and he said, I have come to a decision. You will be allowed to continue your journey, but under the supervision of my agents. The emperor signals for a hooded figure to come forward, and he said, Agent K9, you will accompany these travelers on their journey and report back to me on their findings. Agent K9 removes their hood to reveal a small talking dog, and he said, as you wish, your majesty. Oh, how am I supposed to voice this? And Mr. Bean said, a talking dog? How is that even possible? And Agent K9 said, "Oh, it's quite simple. I was the top of my class at the Imperial K9 Academy." And Mr. Bean said, "Impressive. And what exactly is it that you do for the Empire?" And he said, "Mostly I just fetch things and look cute. But don't let that fool you. I'm also a highly trained spy." And Mr. Bean said, "I see. But I'm sure you'll be a great help on our journey." And Agent Kanan said, "Of course. Now if you'll excuse me, I have some intelligence to gather." And he starts sniffing around. The group is preparing to leave the Imperial Palace. And Mr. Bean said, "Well, I can't believe it. We're actually going in on an adventure with a talking dog." And the alien said, "Yes, it's quite exciting, but we must remember to be careful. We don't want to get into any more trouble." And Mr. Bean said, "Right, no more trouble." As Mr. Bean speaks, she trips and falls, knocking over a table of Imperial artifacts. And the alien said, "Oh dear, I think trouble might find us no matter what we do." And Mr. Bean said, "Oops, well, sorry about that." And Agent K9 said, "No problem, Earthling, these things happen." And he starts sniffing around the artifacts. And the alien said, "What are you doing, Agent K9? Agent K9 said, "You're just gathering intelligence." And he starts barking excitedly. The alien said, "What have you found?" And Agent K9 said, I think I might I think this might be a clue." And he picks up a piece of the broken artifact and starts chewing on it. And the alien said, "Agent K9, that's not a clue. It's just a piece of broken pottery." And Agent K9 said, "Oh." And he drops the pottery and looks disappointed. And so the group is walking through a forest on the distant planet. Agent K9 said, "Be on your guard, travelers. This planet is full of dangers." And Mr. Bean said, "Like what?" And Agent K9 replied, "Like giant spiders and venomous snakes. And don't even get me started on the man-eating plants." And Mr. Bean said, "Oh dear, I think I prefer it in the cell." And the alien said, "Don't worry, Earthling. We'll stick together and watch out for each other." And suddenly they hear a loud noise in the distance. And Agent K9 said, "Quick, hide!" The group ducks behind a nearby tree as a group of Imperial stormtroopers run past. And Mr. Bean said, "What was all that about?" And Agent K9 said, "I'm not sure, but we should stay hidden until they're gone." They hear stormtroopers getting farther and farther away. And Agent K9 said, "It's safe now. Let's get out of here." And the group starts to make their way through the forest again. And the group ran towards the stormtroopers who were being attacked by a group of giant, ferocious creatures. And Agent K9 said, "We have to help them." The group starts fighting the creatures, using their wits and whatever weapons they can find. The alien uses their advanced technology to blast the creatures with energy beams. And Mr. Bean picks up a stick and starts whacking the creatures on the head. Agent Canine bites the creatures on the leg. Excuse me. Despite their efforts, the creatures continue to advance, and suddenly, Mr. Bean has an idea, and he said, I have an idea. Follow me. Mr. Bean starts running in the opposite direction, with the creatures and the rest of the group in hot pursuit. As they run, Mr. Bean leads the creatures towards a large muddy puddle. At the last minute, Mr. Bean jumps out of the way, causing the creatures to slip and fall into the muddy puddle. The rest of the group joins Mr. Bean, and they all start laughing at the sight of the creatures covered in mud. The creatures, now thoroughly defeated, slink away into the forest. The group turns to the stormtroopers, who are looking at them in disbelief. An Agent Canine said, Are you alright? And the stormtrooper said, Yes, thank you, and your companions. You are, we are in your debt. And Mr. Bean said, It was nothing. We were just happy to help. And the group starts making their way to the spaceship. The group then returns to the spaceship and takes off into the vast expanse of space. Agent K9 said, Well, that was quite an adventure. And the alien said, Yes, it certainly was. But we should probably get back to our own planet now. And Mr. Bean said, Can't we stay and explore a little longer? I've always wanted to visit the moon. And the alien said, I'm sorry, Earthling, but our mission is complete. It's time for us to return home. And Mr. Bean said, I suppose you're right. It was still a great adventure, though. And Agent Kanan said, I agree. And who knows what other adventures the universe has in store for us. As they continue on their journey, the group reflects on the lessons they've learned and the bonds they have formed. And that was the end of the story. A fan fiction, if you will. And an AI came up with this fan fiction. And I just thought it was mightily interesting. So I just wanted to share it with you. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. See ya.